Hi everybody, welcome back to the Said With Love channel and welcome back to what are we up to? Gosh, month 4 of the Barn Star Sampler Sew Along. And excuse me while I'm laughing, but these keep falling off the walls. So this is the last 2 months of blocks and I'm really happy with how they're coming along, and it's nice to see them up and starting to look a bit more like a quilt rather than just blocks. So let's get to this month, and this month is the Tulip Star Block 4, and it's finally a smaller block. It's only a 16-inch block and it's really pretty. It's this block on the cover quilt and great for some striking fabrics. So looking forward to seeing what everybody picks. And let me start showing you what I've chosen for my fabrics for these 2 blocks. So for this month's block, the Tulip block is this one here, which is slightly smaller than the blocks that we've been doing so far. And what's there, only 1, 2, 3, 4 different fabrics in the block. So I thought I'd show you what my choices have been for this block. And again, I'm using Tulip Pink fabrics from sort of her more recent collections. So this fabric here for the little, kind of the center of the tulip flower, I suppose, I'm going to use this gorgeous green, which is actually a bear print, but I'm going to use just that little bit. So that'll be just a little pop of green. I'm then going to be using this pink for the pink part of the tulip flower, and for the darker petals, or probably petals, I'm going to use this dark purple because I want to get some purple back in my blocks. I haven't done any real of the deep purple in the last few. And then there's this quite pale sort of fabric in the background that's sort of connecting your 4 parts of your block. And I'm going to use this lovely different suits of cards from the Curiouser and Curiouser collection, basically because it has all of the colours in it, and I think it'll go well. So that's going to be what my first block is going to be. Scooch those over there. And my second block, just keep that so that you can see that block. My second block is going to have, again, this print from the Curiouser collection. It's sort of this, it's heading towards orange, but it's just a lovely, lovely print. And that's going to be my little center of the flower. This is going to be my bright petals. And then I'm going to use this awesome raccoon print for the darker parts. And the pink will be the center little block as well, and the pink from the other one will as well. So not too many fabrics, not too many pieces. I think I did count up how many pieces. Ooh, there's only 53 pieces in this block, so nice, quick and easy one, thank goodness. Okay, so I've been cutting away my 2 blocks for this month, and we're doing the Tulip Star, this one that's on the cover. And here I have my block 1. So that's the center of the little tulip, the petals, the leaves, the little background color in the middle, and my grey background. So I've got them all cut. I've got them labelled with my little alphabetties that you can grab from Fat Quarter Shop. I also use this design board. So this design board is a huge one. I can't even remember how many inches it is. 18 inches, but I've got some smaller ones as well. But these are fantastic for laying things out, and as you start to then sewing up little components of your block, putting it back in place so that you can see where things are. So I love my design boards. So I've also cut out my other colorway of my block, and if I just turn my design board around, I've got all those on the other side. So this is the center of my tulip. These are the little petals. The dark purple is the the leaves or the base part, and I've used the same sort of little low volume background, and then my grey as the real background. So I've got some sewing to do. I'm going to head off to the sewing machine. So this month's block's not too difficult at all, so I thought we'd perhaps focus on some of the more nitty-gritty, tiny little things that we can work on for improving our accuracy. So the stitch and flip corners, I went through and marked the back of my background square with a line straight across the middle from corner to corner with my air erasable pen. And then I went to the sewing machine and I stitched directly on the line for these two. And then I stitched sort of a thread away. So if my marked line was sort of here, this was sort of literally a thread's width away. And this was two sort of thread widths away. Thinking about, well, just trying out, well, if I was just that little bit off that center line when I folded it back and pressed my seam, would that make that even more accurate? And the answer was no. Spoiler alert. So these two that I marked on the center line and sewed exactly on the line, being very careful to get from exact corner to exact corner, and I've pressed really well, and my fabric's gone quite flat, and these are exact, you know, they're right to the corners and correct up here, whereas these two, this one was the one that was sort of two threads off, and you can see that there's sort of a little square in this corner where the two of them haven't met on the corner, and this one is just that little bit better, but still not perfect. And you start to then see sort of extra fabric here. These aren't quite perfectly aligned. So that's just one thing. I just thought I'd do a test to really confirm my suspicions that, yep, you've got to sew direct on the line, right from corner to corner, to get that perfect flip and stitch corner. Just one other tip, that we're getting into some very small, minor little details, but I just thought I'd give you a tip on how to do this. As we've just discovered that, you know, sewing from corner to corner is important to get that accuracy, so is drawing the line that you're going to follow. So I just thought I'd explain a little bit about how I put my lines across. Now, obviously I put my ruler and I line up my 2 points, but I then make sure that the pressure is all the way across the ruler where I'm about to put my line. And sometimes if you press down too hard from the corner across, this fabric will actually bunch up and you won't get a straight line. So I actually start a little bit in and draw my line out to the sides and then fill in the middle bit. And then it's perfect to the corners every time. Now, when you get onto a larger square than just this little one, obviously you may not be able to put pressure across the whole part of the square that you're ruling your line on, but if you make sure you've got good pressure on the side that you're doing your ruling, and then move your fingers, make sure you've got that good pressure again so that you make sure your line's perfect. And so that is how I get a good line across the whole of my square every time, so that I can make sure that I'm going to sew on corner to corner and get the best result possible. So you know how I was saying that this block is actually pretty easy and shouldn't be too many sort of difficult problems, so don't do what I just did. Well, that was a bit of a pain in the you-know-where to fix, but finally got them all fixed. So that's what the very corner of your block's supposed to look like. So to make life easier for you when you're starting to put on the larger outer petals, the darker petals, I changed how this was pressed. So instead of pressing towards the corner square, I've pressed towards the colour. And that means that then when we're starting to put things together, we can nest those seams nice and easily, and we don't have to faff around trying to have very thick seams or whatever. So that makes life quite a bit easier. And it helps get those points just perfect. Really happy with how that's turned out now that I fixed my oops. And I'm loving the colours too, so I hope you are as well. So I finally have fixed up all my corner blocks and I think they're just gorgeous. I'm loving this purple section, and I actually was just having a quick play around, and you know, wouldn't this just be a fantastic block? Even without the center sections. I think that's gorgeous. I'm loving my raccoons. Anyway, so the center part and the side blocks were really simple this month, and I went and not fussy cut but fussy placed my suited and booted fabric here so that the graduation is into the center the same everywhere, and all then you got to do is pop your corner blocks on and we've got our block finished. So I'm really happy with this. And apart from my mental blackout in terms of placing my corner blocks, this was a fairly quick and easy block this month. So I hope you're enjoying this one after some harder ones, and can't wait to see what everybody's chosen for their fabrics. While I was looking through the book and some of my blocks that I have been making some bonus half square triangles that I've talked to you about a few times, and there's quite a few of them now in a few different sizes. Here's some from some of my previous blocks. So I'm going to I was looking through the rest of the blocks, and block 18 is this cute little pinwheel block that uses up wonderful amounts of these little HSTs that I've created from previous blocks. So I'm going to go ahead and start trimming these up and making some little pinwheels so that I've got block 18 already sorted for one of the coming months. And I'll look ahead too to see if perhaps there's any of the other smaller blocks near the back of the book to just sort of see if I can start making a few of those out of some of the leftover bits from these bigger blocks. So that's the plan. Time to get at it. And I just wanted to show you just one quick little tip. When I was doing block 18 and putting my half square triangles together in rows, and then I'm going to put those two together to make my pinwheel block, I just wanted to show you how I use a pin to make sure that we get that point and this point matching perfectly. So I've pressed to one side on here, I've pressed to the other side on there so that these two will actually nest. So I can literally put them together, get my right sides together and sort of feel where things are. But because I want that point to be spot on, I use a pin, doesn't matter what sort of pin, and I find that spot where the two seams meet. So that's going to be the point, and I'll lift it up and show you. So I've got that point on that side, and I'm then going to come in and find the other point, and I'm literally going to put the two of them together, keep my pin nice and upright, going to put my two pieces back together, and then I'm going to put my pin through so that when I come to my sewing machine, I can make sure that those two are exactly correct. I can put a pin through there as well, but I'm going to start sewing there, and as I come closer to this point, I'm actually going to pull my pin out a little bit and just make sure that it stands up again, because there's just a couple of, it's not even a millimetre or two, but just enough when you're putting in your pin that the top piece of fabric moves over a little bit. So I stand my pin back up again, still through the two layers, and as I'm coming closer and closer with my foot, my sewing foot, I take the pin out and it should go over, and I try and go over just this side of that point so that when we get to the ironing board and we're pressing it open, you've got just that little bit of movement for allowing for that that fold. Now I press these open, so when I will come to that, I will actually press this seam open and get it as flat as possible. I'll use my tailor's clapper to leave it on the seam just until it's cool so that it's nice and flat, and I'll show you those in the reveal at the end of this month.